Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. We are here with day 142 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. All right, the first part of this show, we do Q&A and Magic discussions. You better believe if you've got the questions, both myself and the community are going to bring the answers. We're going to have a nice debate about a lot of little things. And also, second half of the show, we do Decklist review. So if you've got a 75 you always wanted to get some feedback on, submit it to us. And make no mistake, there are people scouting for some pretty interesting lists. If you've got a cool new combo or some synergies that have never been really thought about before that might catch the attention of some streamers and some really competitive players, bring them on and we'll give the feedback to it. So remember, step one, brew up the cup of coffee, and then let's brew up the Magic conversation. And as I wait for my morning fam to show up, I'm going to move from the podcast category to the Magic category because I'm not a podcast. I'm a YouTuber, people. I'm a YouTuber and streamer. It's my title. It's my title here. Not that I'm not a podcaster. Oh, that coffee gets better and better every day. So welcome. What is going on in the world right now in Magic the Gathering? Saffron Olive made some post on Twitter basically explaining that it costs like $2,000 a year to play standard on MTG Arena. Compared to Magic the Gathering Online, it's significantly cheaper. Although I don't know who plays standard on Magic the Gathering Online. I would probably pay the premium so I can play on a much nicer client. Anyhow, that also might be up for debate. For anybody who plays standard, would love to hear your thoughts about that. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, ANPD03. Or good evening. Hey, wherever you are in this world, morning, afternoon, or evening, it's always a great time to chat. What am I looking for? I'm not looking for anything right now. So, what can I say for myself? Okay, let's look at some of the recent tournament lists that broke out on MTG Goldfish. We can review some, not really review. I was taking a look at the lists at a glance that happened over the weekend, and some people would be like, well, Oops All Spells, is the big deck, that should be what you prepare for. Be prepared for Oops, or you're gonna die. Turns out, actually, it's not the most dangerous thing, actually. There actually is a different pattern that I was seeing in these really big challenge events and these so here's the Modern Championship for one. So check out the Modern Championship. First place, Amulet, then Uro. What's white red? It's just Death and Taxes? Oh yeah, it's just Death and Taxes with Magus of the Moon in the sideboard. How do you even cast that? Sunbaked Canyons, Cavern of Souls, and your Aether. I guess that's enough. 12 sources. But it's like Death Shadow, Uro, Death Shadow. Rakdos is just Death Shadow. Death Shadow, Uro. This is going to be an Uro deck. Death Shadow. There's actually a bit of Heliod Company. Death Shadow. So at a glance, I mean, it's mostly these Uro decks, Titan decks, some Prowess, and Death Shadow. So if we look at another list, Modern Championship. So here's the Modern Challenge. We see a very similar story. Death Shadow, Uro. Death Shadow. Death Shadow, Death Shadow, Death Shadow, Death Shadow, and more Death Shadow. Death Shadow all over the damn place. So let's go to the third tournament. So these were the two challenges and the one Modern Championship over the weekend. Death Shadow, Death Shadow, Death Shadow, Death Shadow, Death Shadow. Was that the last Death Shadow? And of course, there you see Uro if you look out for the Uro decks. But what I was impressed with is just the gross number of Death Shadow decks. that actually showed up over the weekend. It was a ton of them. It was pretty surprising, and it actually made me think that maybe it's time to put Chalice of the Void in the main deck. Give yourself that extra bit of edge against the Death Shadow decks and also the Prowess decks, which are pretty prevalent. It's going to be a little poopy against like Uro decks and Helia decks, but if you have a way of discarding it with like Smuggler's Copter or Benthic Biomancer, I'm just speaking on behalf of the Merfolk players out there, then it might be okay. It does hurt a lot of decks. It seems to be hurting like the top decks. I mean, there's still a lot of decks it's going to whiff against, but it does hit your like ad nauseums here. Against Amulet, you cast it on 0, so there's like a good splatter of different archetypes that will get hit by the Chalice. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I play Dismember in the main. Dismember is not even good against every deck. I mean, if I go up against Ad Nauseam, it's useless. If I go up against Oops All Spells, it's basically useless. So there's like tons of decks where Dismember just is a blank. So it's okay to also have a blank for some range of matchups, so long as most of the matchups it's gonna the card lines up properly. So anyway, that's just my observation. Tons of Death Shadow out there. Maybe is like the #1 deck to beat right now. And we also see it's been shifting from these Rakdos it's amazing. They went from like Grixis. They went from Grixis to Rakdos, and then they're like, well, why don't we just splash green for Tarmogoyf? And now they're just, it's almost like it came full circle, because Death Shadow, the OG Death Shadow deck in 2017, started Jund Death Shadow. So how do we beat Jund Death Shadow? Well, we're going to beat it with Grixis Death Shadow, with Gurmag Angler, because Gurmag Angler doesn't die to Lightning Bolt, doesn't die to Fatal Push. And now we see that the Grixis version mutated into a Rakdos version. They're like, okay, from there, let's just add green again. Let's go back to Tarmogoyf. So it's come full circle back to the OG Death Shadow list, just running Luris of the Dream Den instead as an extra value. Like, because why not? Why not? Verdant Catacombs, 4 cards, $215. It's ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. So beware of Death Shadow. And truth be told, if anyone saw my last league that I played live, we were up against 5 Swiftspear decks, 3 of them being Prowess Shadow decks, you know? Good morning, Balada. Playing starting, every time I play a format, the only thing I want is find a deck to get out of the format. Good morning, Mikey J. How are things going in Winnipeg? They're locking us down in Winnipeg. You know what? It's getting locked down. I can't get a haircut. Nikachu's hair is going all over the place because I can't get a haircut anymore. We're in lockdown mode, which is not that big of a deal for me. I'm a YouTuber. I don't have to go anywhere. Just do what I normally do. Just stay at home. Except we Plague Engineer people. Good morning, Alex. Uro is a dumb card. It almost got banned. Instead, it was Arkham's Astrolabe that got banned. Graveyard Hate is always needed. Help against control prowess in formats not normally expected. Chalice is the main, hurts a lot of decks. Yep. And we see out some elves. Where's the elves? If there is one elf deck, we'll look at it. I did not see the elf deck. Help me find the elf deck. Is it this red-green deck? No, that's a burn deck. Elves, elves, elves. Where are you, elves? Have I been BS'd here? Elves, 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 elves. Escape Shift, Sultai. I don't know where the elf deck is. If there was one, I can't find it. You're going to have to give me a direct link or something. Honestly, if you could play Chalice, you need to play it. Yeah, basically. It's definitely a very good, powerful sideboard card right now. I think it's... I mean, here's the thing that really helps against these... Like, let's go look up a Rakdos or a Jund Death Shadow deck. I want a Jund Death Shadow. Where's Jund Death Shadow? Jund. This is just Jund? No, this is just a Jund. Where's Jund Death Shadow? Here we go. So here's the deal about Jund Death Shadow right now that makes Chalice of the Void that much more effective right now. They're running light on Kolaghan's Command. Where's the Kolaghan's Command in this list? Because Kolaghan's Command overall is just a garbage card for the most part. It's not really that good. It's like the weakest 2-for-1. And then if you look at the lists that are doing well, they've decided, you know what, 3 mana for this instant, a little bit too much. We got to focus on being more mana efficient at 1 mana, at 2 mana, and 0 mana. Doesn't get any more mana efficient than 0 mana, right? So no, there's less Kolaghan's Command. Look, we have 1 in the sideboard. So the odds of the Chalice of the Void getting completely blown out, not super high. And just really low on the cards that even target it, like 2 Assassin's Trophy. Maybe they would bring in an Ancient Grudge against us, maybe. Yeah, to be honest, they would do that. So the Chalice is going to be a little bit more effective than usual. That's all I'm saying. How to cheese out wins in Modern for $200, Alex. This card leaves you void for something to drink. Interesting. Good morning, Kilka620. Yeah, same in Quebec. Stay at home. Same in Austria. Let's all stay at home. Staying home is easy. Everyone wants to. When you're a kid, everyone wants to stay home. No one wants to go to school. And now everyone's like, I don't want to stay at home. What do you want, people? You can only have one or the other. People are getting frustrated, though. Just gotta find a hobby that you can do at home. Rice paper is greater than glass. What? Where did that come from? Need some explanation here. Rice paper is greater than glass. Use a rice paper screen? Shoji. Oh, I see. You're talking about my background. Yeah, the thing in my background. So like I'm the moment I see this, this is a screen. This is not rice paper. I should get rice paper though, because I don't like the black. I mean, it's okay. It doesn't show my floodlights very well. You know, it's too dark. I need it to be brighter. I need it to be lighter for the floodlights to work. There's an elf in the Titan deck. Well, that's a loose elf deck. I would love it. Someone registers elves in a Modern tournament, but really it's an Elvish Reclaimer green-white Titan deck. Yo, evening from South Korea. How did Amulet take 3rd in a challenge? Because Amulet is still a super powerful deck. Really strong. And what makes it even better is that Blood Moon is on the downswing. The red-green Ponza deck isn't doing so well. There is not enough decks that are losing to Blood Moon. Most of the decks are doing fine against Blood Moon. It's Boil that is what you have to be worried about. And, you know, to some extent, they still get hit by that because of the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. But Titan decks are still the decks to beat. It's definitely in the top 5 of decks to beat. Between the green-white Titan deck and the Amulet Titan deck, they're very strong, very, very powerful. They can get the turn 3 Titan out with the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. They fetch the Valakuts and then smash you for like a ton of damage. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. How are the cats? Where's the cats? Well, one cat's not here today. Bed is empty. Salud! Maybe he'll come. Salud! Oh, he must be preoccupied. He'd immediately run here if I called him. It's like a dog. If you found out your lover of 5+ years was actually the world's most sophisticated robot piloted by a team of very tiny people, would you stay in the relationship? Sure. Why not? I fell in love with maybe I fell in love with the very tiny people running the robot. Now that I have my face on my streams, I want to curate my background a bit. There you go. You have to the background. Well, I'll say this: background isn't everything, but it is nice. It's nice. You know, we've got like to have some. I will say this much: I underrated the floodlights for years. I thought it was just BS, but then when you get the floodlights going, it looks a hell lot better. It looks a hell lot better. Oh, and thus I have a 5-panel Shoji screen. Sweet. I gotta check out your stream, Tuck. When are you streaming, Tuxdev? When are you streaming? Maybe we got to get you on the show, Tux Dev. I don't know what I have no idea what you're playing though. RTX voice glitched at what right now? Red green Eldrazi would be interesting. No, it is. Well, I mean the deck exists, but it's not doing extremely well right now. Sunday mornings as always. Couldn't remember your old schedule. Whenever you were online, I could see it. Whenever it wasn't, it wasn't. But if you want to check out Tuxdev, what are you streaming these days, Tuxdev? Oh, when I called salute, it glitched. Yes. Whenever I yell, when it reaches some threshold, it will cancel out the noise. Wizard Shift in Legacy. We got to get you on the air for Wizard Shift in Legacy one day. Especially if you have a camera, you can get on the show easily. Get yourself the green screen Rudy uses. Or I get a green screen and use his background that he uses. Really enjoy the Masterclass series. Just waiting to see F. Pavlush on again to talk Titan Vial or Green White Reclaimer. Yeah, we could have him on for Green White. Like he's been here many times for Titan Vial. We could get him on again for the Reclaimer deck. Because that's like a whole new archetype. I mean, there's similarities, there's overlap, but make no mistake. I mean, it's not the amulet deck. It's a crop rotation on a creature used repeatedly over time. My bad. Elf deck is in League, not Challenge, but it was my list I submitted last time. A lot of good results in the League. Yep. I'm a trader and abandoned the fishy. Isn't it still mostly a Merfolk deck though? And by mostly, I mean the main creature type in the deck is still, I think, is still Merfolk. Or do you just not play with True Name Nemesis anymore? I mean, a less jank version of Modern Reanimate I submitted yesterday. All right. They kind of don't really work anymore. I'd love to hear Logan Nettles talk about Jund. I invited Logan, I invited him. And then he just never got back. He's like, yeah, we could do it. And then he just didn't get back to me. So you got to put some social pressure on Logan to get on the show. Titan, well, it used to be called Titan Vial because it used to use Ether Vial. I guess it just doesn't use Vial anymore, to be honest. They've mostly flushed out the Vial card out of it. Scottish Merfolk scene is in a sad state. People keep quitting the deck. Got to bring it back. I mean, one thing that makes Merfolk very difficult right now, especially in the leagues, is they're really, really wide open. And I mean, if you've been following this channel long enough, I keep saying that the benefit of Merfolk is that when the metagame is narrow, the deck can have easily over 80% win rate. The problem is that when the metagame is super wide open, there's like anything is possible. Because Merfolk is a very reactive deck, so you need the deck tuned to a very specific metagame. And pending whatever metagame you have, it will benefit playing this deck because you can tune it for that metagame. But if the metagame is just all over the place, you could play literally against anything, then your deck will just hit or miss too many times. And that's how I seem to have felt like in the last few weeks. But still not doing bad. I'm still getting 5 zeros. Still placing deep in tournaments. I should get Grimflare MTG. Yeah, why not? We can get Grimflare on the show. Ideally, going into the future, I'll have a guest like every single day instead of me just talking randomly for the hour. So yeah, maybe I got to get in contact with Grimflare, see how he's doing. See if he's still flaying those Grim Flares. So it sounds like Merfolk, yeah, basically Merfolk is a tempo control deck. Or how did Paulo Vito Damarosa call it? A aggro control? That's what he called it. There was an interesting definition of tempo, and I know this is a very debatable topic, but somehow someone classified decks pretty uniquely, and they said like an actual tempo deck was a deck that if it went into the long game, it would lose because it would somehow run out of resources. And an aggro control deck would be something like Slivers or Merfolk, where even though you're down on resources, like they didn't classify this sort of archetype a tempo deck, because in the late game you could still win even though you were down or had no more resources. So that was the anyway, an interesting definition on tempo decks and other archetypes. Are you gonna play zombies again? Probably not. I mean, one day maybe, but probably not. If I'm gonna play another travel deck, it'd probably be vampires. It's going to be random. 8 human wizards, 8 merfolk wizards, and 4 true name nemesis. Then the merfolk, that's still a merfolk deck. Enough reasons to still name merfolk on Cavern, but wizards is definitely the real creature type that matters. Yeah, I love the guest interviews. And they like to be on too. It's a win-win everywhere. Trash, Paulo Vito Dama de Rosa. Do you think the meta will eventually become dominated by Blood Moon again? It feels like a possibility soon. I don't know about anytime soon. Blood Moon is just always a card. Like, it can never genuinely dominate because the format will just adapt to it. Just like it's adapted right now. And then Blood Moon, well, I don't know. Blood Moon, I think, is relatively well positioned, but there's just no good deck that can utilize it because, well, you're not taking full advantage of the other colors if you're doing it. You know, it's difficult for Blood Moon to genuinely dominate. And not to mention, there's a lot of ways of playing around it. Just by fetching out the basics is sometimes good enough. He's 5-0 with Rock in the last league. That's pretty cool. Congratulations, Grim Flare. Would love to see the Rock make a comeback. I will definitely play zombies next October. That I can guarantee. Every October, at least one spirits, at least one vampires, at least one zombies. And for Christmas, you better believe we're going to be playing elves. We'll be playing elves for Christmas, I promise you. That's just how it is. No rabbit deck, however, for Easter. Doesn't exist. Not enough rabbits in Magic. Just gotta take my word for it. Is Rock just redless, John? Yeah, it is. And it used to have like a really good strategic reason to go just black-green. Today, it doesn't. It doesn't have a very good reason. Like, they used to be able to want to utilize Tectonic Edge, but like these days, it's pointless to go black-green. You might as well splash for red. Baby Elf action. With more decks moving to painless mana bases, it seems like Blood Moon is a ticking time bomb. Yeah, but it can get, you know, okay, for example, there's a lot of, even if they play Blood Moon, there's now more cards that you can play with a Blood Moon on the battlefield, like Cleansing Wildfire your land to find the basic that you're looking for. I agree, but it's just gonna. I agree that Blood Moon is getting better position, but you still need to build a deck that is going to be a good Blood Moon deck. And it was hard to find that deck for a very long time until the red-green Ponza deck came about, and that was the strongest Blood Moon deck we had seen in a very, very long time. And maybe that deck will make a resurgence just randomly, but we're just not there yet. And if you look at the Rakdos Shadow. Like you still have to beat that deck. You still need to beat Rakdos Shadow and Rakdos Prowess, and even the Jund Prowess decks, and they can laugh at the Blood Moon. The Inquisition Kozilek thought sees it away, fetch for the basics, kill you really quickly so that there's no long game, no late game. Like, you could get this Blood Moon down, the opponent has 2 Death Shadows out already. A Death Shadow and a Scourge of the Skyclaves and a Monastery Swift Spear, and you're like, then they just kill you after you play the Blood Moon. So, I mean, there's still problems. There's still problems. Here's a question I get asked once every so often. Have you ever tried Azorius Merfolk with Civ River Guide? And the answer is, I think maybe I tried it once, but like, it's just poor. So here's the problem with Sig River Guide. It's white and a blue for a 2/2 Island Walk Merfolk. Ability, white and a generic. Target merfolk you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Here's the problem. That costs mana. You have to hold up mana every single turn in order to have this ability. That's too much mana. Modern is aggressive enough now that all your effects have to be more or less for free or very, very cheap. 2 mana is way too much to protect your creatures. Just way too much. So it basically doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's my answer to this. So it was like super clunky. I can tell you, like, even a long time ago when Modern wasn't as aggressive, when I tried this card, it's just clunky. It's just very, very clunky. You don't have the mana most of the time. Cavern of Souls does not add to the cannot pay for this ability. Anyway, not worth it. I don't like Unsettled Mariner, but I would go with Unsettled Mariner if I had to choose, because the ability is free. Will there be elks in the elves deck? There will not. Oh, I see. There should be elks for. Well, maybe we can. Oh, we can't splash blue for Oko because it's banned. I'll think about it. Gonna have a very on theme, and maybe I'll even find somebody with a beard to act as our Santa Claus for the deck. It'll be a very flavorful deck. You have one fat human, exactly. New Rabbit in Commander Legends. Azorius Rabbit Wizard? Really? What's it called? Red Green Pawns still is a deck. Yeah, it's a deck. It's around. It's not dominating or anything. You're looking at East or wrong, Nikachu. Bird Tribal. Maybe that's the way to do it. Is Kira still playable? Maybe. I would say Kira. Yeah, Kira's playable right now. I think there's a lot of removal in the format. Kira might be more playable than it has been in a very long time. I'm still not going to play it. Kira is really nice to set up Master of Waves because it could protect Master of Waves and you're almost guaranteed devotion on the battlefield. But Master of Waves is not where it used to be. Although I think Master of Waves is in a better position today than it has been in a long time. Kira is definitely more of a meta call. To me, timely force negation seems better than Sig. I guess I don't really like force negating to protect my creatures though. It's a 2-for-1. I might have sacrificed a creature in that force negation. I am convinced Brineborn Cutthroat is the blue Tarmogoyf. Which shell would have to be played in? Probably a Delver deck with a lot of spells. A lot of spells that you could play at flash speed, like counter spells, opt, I don't know, Vapor Snag, Dismember, Lightning Bolt, or something like that. Maybe there is an Izzet Delver deck to be discovered with Brineborn Cutthroat. Maybe that's a thing. Or, I mean, I'm surprised it was never tried, or maybe I'm not too surprised, like in the Kiki twin deck, or Kiki Exarch deck. But they called it Blue Tarmogoyf because they just threw Tarmogoyf into a Delver deck, and you could do the same thing with Brineborn Cutthroat. By the way, if anyone doesn't know what Brineborn is, Brineborn Cutthroat is this blue 1 generic 2/1 flash merfolk that whenever you cast a spell during the opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. So that's just prime real estate for a Delver deck, Delver-like deck, where you try to interact and then play all your spells on your opponent's turn. That's the way I would look at it. Have I ever considered Sig River Cutthroat? We just talked about Cutthroat. No. Never. It was always a bad card. Here's the deal. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, you may draw a card. If you've got this creature on the battlefield and you have something else on the battlefield, and you're dealing 3 damage a turn, that means your opponent has no removal. Which in that case, if they have no removal, you might as well have had another Lord or another big creature on the battlefield. It's just a win more card. And if it's there by itself, it is a crap 1 power creature. So that's the deal here. This card is poor. I mean, I get these. We've gone over almost everything, so it's got to be like if it's a Merfolk card, yes, we've looked into. I mean, like I've gone through. What is the 1/2 generic vanilla creature for 1 mana? You gotta believe me. I mean, outside of anything, I don't know, 4 mana or higher that maybe I've missed, I've gone through like almost everything to see what's available. I even went through I even went through every 1 mana instant that Merfolk could possibly play. What's the one? Does anyone know? I think it was Triton something. Is it Triton Shorestalker? No, that's the unblockable one. Triton. Something Triton. Might not even be Triton something. It is Triton. Triton Shore Thief. This might be one of the better 1-drops, to be honest. A 1 mana generic 1/2 creature. Because the toughness matters sometimes. The toughness, like, really, really matters sometimes. So that you can attack into, like, so for example, if I go Triton Shore Thief, you don't even steal anything. What kind of name is this? Usually the thief part, like, does whatever. So you can go turn 1 Triton Shore Thief, and then if your opponent plays like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, you can play a Lord and attack for 2 into it because that's 3 toughness. And it can't get blocked by the Thalia. Matters in a very large range of situations. Yeah, it survives Plague Engineer naturally. So, I mean, I've gone through all the cards. I mean, I guess it's just the way a lot of these questions are framed. Have you ever thought about Sig River Guide? The real question is, Nikachu, why don't you play with Sig River Guide? Because, I mean, we've gone through all the cards. And honestly, I just haven't play tested this card. I still find it hard to believe that it would be better than Benthic Biomancer, but maybe with playtesting, this actually proves to be better. Because, like, Commander Speaker is a really big deal. Both for the power, but also for the toughness. Clearly a Fish Thief. You should... some question I'm missing here? Could a deck built around Slither Wisp be good in Modern? Yes. 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 Yes, 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 and more yeses. This card is busted. This card is busted. Even for Modern, this card is busted. It's so busted. It is a busted card. This is a very good card. This is very strong. How much does it cost? Holy shit, this is a good spec target. It's less than $1. Buy 100 of them, and then just wait for one person to make a good deck out of this. 3 mana, you draw cards, and it has reach. So for every single time you play something like Opt, your opponent loses life, and you draw cards. Okay, maybe I should read what's on this card. So black, blue, 3/2, flash creature. Whenever you cast another creature spell that has flash, you draw a card, and each opponent loses 1 life. Okay, sorry, you can't use Opt. You can't use Opt. It just needs to be flash creature. There's millions of flash creatures, though. There's good flash creatures out there. You draw a card every single... It's basically every spell that you cast is a Silvergill Adept. Every flash spell. This card is busted, in my opinion. This is a very strong card. Very underrated. No one's... The reason it doesn't see play in Modern, I think, is just no one's tried. Simple as that. We saw what this could do in Pioneer, remember? Remember we crushed people in Pioneer with this blue-black rogue flash deck or whatever? It was very, very impressive. Anyway, I mean, it might be in my best interest to buy 1,000 copies of this card and then jam leagues until I actually make a good competitive deck out of this. And then when the value of this thing goes to like $5, sell everything. The hard part is making sure that I have a competitive, I get a competitive list in the end of it. But you have access to black and blue. Like, how bad can this deck be? I mean, seriously. And we have Omen of the Sea. Well, I don't know about Omen of the Sea. I would rather it's just mostly flash creatures. Yeah, most flash cards are creatures, though. It's totally fine. I think that's totally fine. And it's not like you need Ether Vial for a deck like that because your deck plays at flash speed anyway. Your deck plays at flash speed. Do you think there's a wheel FDE? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Oh, wheel deck that's viable in Modern? You mean like a Wheel of Fortune? The most viable deck would be the Electro Balance deck. I don't know what this card is. Do you think... Oh, Field of the Dead should be banned? I don't think it... Whoops. I don't think it should be banned, but I think it is definitely ban-worthy, as we have seen it getting banned in other formats. So I don't think it's ban-worthy yet. I mean, if anything, like, let's be... Well, okay, it's not just played in Titan decks, it's also played in the control decks. So it's possible. It's possible. I might not be the most objective person to say that should be banned because I'm a Merfolk deck and I have Island Walk against every deck that's playing this card. But whatever. Yeah, Wasteland in Modern Horizons 2. But the problem is, even Wasteland is not very... Well, I don't think Wasteland would be good against Field of the Dead specifically, but it would be good at chewing up the lands before they got to Field of the Dead. That would be really warping to Modern if they finally printed Wasteland. That would be a huge shift in the identity of Modern. How would people feel about Wasteland in Modern? How do people feel? This is an ugly art. Let's get the OG art. Where's the OG art? Good enough. How do you feel this card exists in Modern? I already have my copies of Wasteland, and I don't want it. Respect the basics. People should play basics. Well, people still need to respect basics, even in Modern, because of Blood Moon. I don't know if it would break prison decks. Yeah, mana bases are so greedy in Modern. Well, compared to other formats. People might stop playing 3 color. I mean, you know what? You make a good point, actually. Like, yeah, we are in the range of like 3 to 4 color decks all over the damn place. But that's the nature of Modern. I mean, that's the nature of Modern. Simple as that. Back to basics. The problem with back to basics, and this is maybe not necessarily a problem. People are like, oh, this would be fair, except it would go into like every control deck. Or I don't know about every control deck, but there would be a larger density of control decks that would utilize this card, particularly the 2-color control deck. Fetch out Island, fetch out Plains, fetch out Island, back to basics. GG. Good luck. Good luck getting yourself out of this one, pals. Fully on board with that. I am too. I mean, I really, really don't like back to basics and Legacy, but I could get behind this in Modern, that's for sure. I know it will just wreck people. It'll wreck people better than it wrecks me. More control cards, that's right. I'm going to have to make an updated video. We'll have control players get all the more control cards, like Back to Basics and Force of Will, and I don't know, what other Legacy staples are there? What Legacy cards can come to Modern? Wasteland. Oh, that's actually a really good point. I mean, it would be very difficult to print. It would be very difficult to print Wasteland in the same format that uses Wrenn and 6. I mean, Wrenn and 6 got banned in Legacy because of Wasteland. And the synergy that it had. Wasteland you. Oh, return it back to my hand. Wasteland you again. Strip mines for days. Basically for forever. So, I mean, if they did print Wasteland into Modern, very likely you have to ban Wrenn and 6, or they just don't print Wasteland, period. Yeah, print Misdirection in Modern. I would love that. I don't know if I would actually play it, but I like this card so much. Too nostalgic for me. It's one of the first cards I played with when I first started playing Magic. Remove a blue card in your hand from the game instead of paying Misdirection's mana cost. Target spell with a single target targets another target instead. I love that wording too. They say target so many times. Target spell with a single target targets another target instead. How often do you get like a card saying the same name, the same word 4 times? You want to kill my creature? No, kill your creature. It's a 2 for 2. Never understood why red has Blood Moon affecting all lands and blue can only hit one at a time. You mean with like Spreading Seas? Good morning, Gendicide. Anyway, getting back. I really like that old conversation we were talking about the Slither Wisp. Yeah, this card's really strong. It doesn't die to anything either because it does have two toughness, which is very important to have in the metagame right now. Very, very important to have. Of course, you can play it sort of in a control shell. Okay, out of curiosity, let's look at like what's available in a blue-black flash control deck-ish deck. We're just gonna look at the creatures. So we're looking for creature in blue and black. And we want the CMC to be less than 4. Maybe there's some good ones in 4. We need keyword flash. And you're legal in modern. What do we got available? There's actually quite a few cards. We have Black Lance Paragon. Not too bad. I don't like the 1 toughness again, but whatever. Brazen Borrower, Brineborn Cutthroat for sure. Cunning Nightbonder would be fantastic. Spells with flash you cast cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. It's possible Deceiver Exarch is playable as a tempo card. I'm not sure though. It's a good blocker, but no other synergy with the deck. Dewdrop Spy. Flash Flying. When it comes into play, look at the top card of target player's library. Nah, that's poopy. That's pretty crap. Well, here we go. Flash Death Touch. When Dire Fleet Poisoner enters the battlefield, target attacking pirate you control gets +1/+1 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. That's pretty gas, I think. Basically turn any creature you have into a removal spell. I don't think Harbinger is very good. It'd be better if there's some evasion, because I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure I could play Cryptic Command in the same deck. Nebelgest Herald actually would be pretty good, and I think would be because it's evasion and slows the opponent down and draws cards. I love all that stuff, and 1 toughness sucks, but would cost 1 less to cast if we had Cunning Nightbonder in the deck. Maybe Nimble Obstruction. Like, Nimble Obstructionist is just great on many fronts. There is a Flash Merfolk Wizard. Enters the battlefield, target permanent becomes the color or colors of your choice until end of turn. Seems like garbage. Maybe this should just be an Esper Spirits deck with the Slither Wisp and Rattle Chains. We got Sea Dasher Octopus, probably not worth playing. There's the Slither Wisp. Here's Snapcaster Mage. Probably is not that useful, though. I honestly wouldn't use Spellstarter Sprite to... I don't believe in this card. Spectral Sailor might be playable. Click is probably playable. What the hell is this? Vidalcan Aether Mage. When it comes into play, return target sliver to its owner's hand. What the hell? That is very specific of a creature. Well, it turns out there's not that many cards to choose from. But there's enough. There's enough to make a deck. There's enough to make a deck out of all this. Yeah, Wizard Cycling. You've played that? Yeah, probably a rogue sub-theme, maybe. Well, Click is always good, but 1 toughness... I don't know about 1 toughness in the modern metagame right now. Between Plague Engineer and Lava Dart and Walking Ballista, there's a lot of problems for 1 toughness in the metagame. How good is Disallowed? It's clunky. Let's just say that. It's fine card, but it's pretty clunky. I think you would want snaps and cheap counters to stop you from getting tempoed out by Bolt. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the deck like this could still run some counter spells and stuff. At red, well, splashing a triple red card in a blue-black base deck for Slither Wisp is probably not where you want to be. Anyway, guess what time it is, everyone? Guess what time it is? It's time for Decklist review. You better know how to do this. You use the command !deck review space, give the URL to your deck list, and also leave any comments. What's the format? Are you on a budget? What archetypes do you need help against? Are we focusing on the main or the sideboard? What decks are crushing you? You need to show up the matchup. Let me know, and we will most definitely go over it. Well, Tail's End is 2 mana, so 2 mana is definitely playable. More playable than 3 mana. 3 mana is just, for 3 mana, it better do everything. It's got to be like Archmage's Charm level. So, and as people submit their decks, we can definitely, this is the sponsor time, people. So I start talking about the manabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. The content creation site with podcasts, videos, articles on Commander, Pioneer, Modern, Historic, Standard, and more. The Manabase. Go check them out. And also the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. Where's Fusion Gaming Online? Well, I've been looking up mana drains, you see. And the Manabase, Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store. Deal of the week, save 20% off all Commander singles and sealed product. If you need an Atraxa, looks like you can get 20% off this fellow. Remember, it's a Canadian site and Canadian prices, so don't be caught off guard. Fusion Gaming Online. And also, I'd love to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And if you ever wanted to try out and build a Slither Wisp deck without committing to it, you can always borrow it with Mana Traders. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below. Or if you want to save yourself some money, you could always use my coupon code Nikachu to get 15% off your first 3 months. Do we have decks? Archmage's Charm is such an odd card. It's great and terrible at the same time. It's clunky, but it's good. Do you think Modern Horizons 2 will give us the other CCC charms? Oh, God. Good question. Good question. Probably. That sounds like something... that sounds like a cycle that Wizards would do. Unless there's something we missed, like in the history of Magic, there was a GGG charm, a red charm, a black charm, and now they just gave us the blue one. Just leave the deck list review command up here for anyone that needs it. This low does everything, but 3 mana counterspell is pretty expensive. It's just cancel for the most part. It probably is very scary. It's very, very scary. The RRR charm. It's going to be like 3 damage to each creature, or deal 3 damage, or deal 4 damage to target player, or draw 3 cards, discard 3 cards, or some crap like that. Did I ever try Archmage's Charm with Merfolk? Yes. Difficult to cast because our Cavern of Souls and Mutavaults don't let us cast it. I think you need to have at least 20 lands, 20 islands in the deck in order to actually cast Archmage's Charm. So it ended up being really clunky. I think it's a good card in the archetype. I think it is a good card, but our mana base at the moment doesn't support it. So maybe one day if they make a creature land that adds blue mana, we could reevaluate Archmage's Charm. Do you think another CMC Planeswalker like Deathrite Shaman will be in Modern Horizons 2? Or you mean like 1 mana creature that acts like a Planeswalker? I don't think so. I think they're going to be very careful about that. Unless you're talking about something like Giver of Runes, for example. They'll probably have another good 1-drop creature, but not like Deathrite Shaman. That card already exists. It's called Collective Defiance. RR1, Sorcery, Escalate, choose 1 or more. Target player discards all cards in their hand, draws that many cards. Collective Defiance deals 4 damage to target creature. Collective Defiance deals 3 damage to target opponent or player. Yeah, it sounds very similar. RRR charm has to destroy artifacts in one of the modes, divide damage in another, right? Yeah, it's possible. Do you think Sulfuric Vortex and Chain Lightning are safe for Modern now? Yes. They're safe. I don't know if they're going to print them in, but they're safe. I think they're safe. It's okay. We have a million. Adding more 1-mana bolts to the format is not going to harm. It's not going to do anybody any harm. Okay, let's look at some of these decks. What are you people up to these days? Okay, Athenback's deck has been chosen. Merfolk Scales Pioneer deck suggestions. My suggestion is, how do you push damage? Because I tried this. I'm not saying I had the best list, but I've been down this road before. And it was great, except I didn't know how to push damage. You have a plan. You have the Herald of Secret Streams. All right. Fantastic. Maybe you should have more. So we have... So here's the thing. I played this, a list like this. Why isn't it showing up? Oh, because not everyone can see it. Oh yeah, no, I'm just looking at it myself. All right, here we go. For Benthic Biomancer, Jade Light Ranger, Deep Root. Okay, so the idea here is you get a Hardened Scales out, and boom, you're going to double the counters on your creatures. Like Benthic Biomancer, when you adapt it, it's going to get 2 counters. It only gives you 1 loot though, because you have to. Any triggers beyond the first counter don't actually resolve. And then Jade Bearer, Deep Root Elite, Branch Walker, Mistbinder, Merfolk Skydiver, effectively a 1/1 flyer. Put a counter on something. You can also proliferate. So increase the number of counters on all your stuff. Jade Light Ranger is great. Commander Tyrant of Vraska is actually pretty. You know what? I might go higher on Commander. Commander's sort of clunky, but has unblockable. I think that's a secret weapon of Commander Tyrant of Vraska. Herald of Secret Streams. I like this because you need to get your stuff unblockable. River Halls, boom. This card is garbage. Put a +1/+1. I don't like this card. This is too situational. You're just asking to get completely blown out by this card. This is awful. Get rid of this card. Botanical Sanctum, Breeding Pool, 4 Forest, Hinterland Harbor. Mana base is fine. Spell Pierce, Ether Gust, Phyrexian Revoker, Spyglass, Dispute, Tidebinder Mage. I can't really speak for the sideboard. So I just remember when I played this deck, I could make these really big creatures. They were huge. But then I couldn't like attack through tokens. I couldn't attack, if my opponent was attacking me in the air and chump blocking me on the ground, I couldn't get through all the removal. Why not the 1-mana Ozlith? Not a bad idea, but that still doesn't solve the OG problem that I had with this archetype. And mind you, I haven't played Pioneer in a while, and it was just trying to push damage. Like, you need Trample or something, and that's where your Herald of Secret Streams can come into play. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. So now these things are actually, because we have no Island Walk. For example, Spirits has flying. And what are the decks I want to say? Like the red aggro decks, they just really fast, and Burn just shoots you in the face. There's no evasion here. And it ended up being ended up being a really big problem. This deck is also entirely lacking in interaction except out of the sideboard. Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically like a beatdown deck. I would say up the number of Kamenas and maybe one of the Herald of Secret Streams. I never play tested with these cards, but I should have. I mean, I just played with a deck like this once, and you make these enormous creatures. A Jade Light Ranger becomes like a 5/8. You get a few Hardened Scales and Jade Light Ranger double triggers. It's enormous. They get huge, but then they get blocked. They get chump blocked, and then you get tempoed out and you lose. So it ended up being not that amazing. So yeah, we do have some evasion. We've got the Skydiver, but I would really like that we get Kamena in play, and as Kamena gets some counters on it, you can just tap a random Merfolk and attack. I really like this Herald of Secret Streams. Maybe remove 2 Heralds, boom, add 2 of these creatures. And then you have to... I mean, yeah, I share some concerns with Tuxdev. There's no interaction here. Whatever, it's a game 1 deck. this is just the game one plan. Game two, you board in the interaction when you need it. I can't speak too strongly about the sideboard because I'm not really in tune of what's going on in Pioneer at the moment. Looks like a disgustingly good Ixalan draft. Basing your deck off of a weak block is worse than basing your deck off of a strong block. Blue-green Folk Explorer to turn Uro on. Unfortunately, Uro doesn't use counters. I guess Uro is legal in this format, though. Anyway, that's my only suggestion. Remove this. Like, this is just not good. It's just like, don't like it. I think you have enough other synergies here to get the counters, like between Branchwalker. You probably should have Silvergill Adept in here somewhere, but I don't know what. I mean, maybe it's better that you just go all in on the counter thing. Anyway, that's my only suggestion. Good luck with the list. I hope you're playing this deck. Hope it's doing well. Like, I played the Hardened Scales Merfolk deck. It gets big. Your creatures get ridiculously big, but unfortunately, I just couldn't push any damage, and that was my downfall. That was the downfall. All right. A Lozix Decklist has been chosen. I love Hollow One. What do you think we could do to upgrade this? It's funny. I just had a discussion with one of Willie Hall's fans about Hollow One. Okie dokie. We still have Flameblade Adept, Bloodghast, Flamewake Phoenix. Shouldn't you have like 4 of these? Lightning. What the hell? Rotting Regisaur, Hollow One, Street Wraith. I don't understand the Lightning Skelemental in the deck. You have some Unearths. Burning Inquiry, Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Unearth, Goblin Lore. Still don't understand this card. Blackleaf Cliffs. Some usual stuff. Well, I mean, fact of the matter is you need more enablers. You need like they used to have Faithless Looting. Now we lost the Faithless Looting. Like, we need one more of those types of cards in the deck. This doesn't really make any sense to the deck. It has no... It's a good Rakdos card, but it has no real synergy with the rest of the deck, and I actually don't really like the Unearth. I don't think there's any point in, like, unearthing your Hollow One. This is like a pretty Can you even unearth it? No, it's 3 or less. Like, this is a very bad card in this list. This is straight garbage. You literally have Unearth and Lightning Skelemental just for themselves. Like, you can't unearth a Street Wraith. You can't unearth your Hollow One. Well, I mean, I guess you can unearth your Rotting Regisaur, but you're only running 2 of them. You can't unearth your Flamewake Phoenix, nor do you want to. It's silly to unearth your Bloodghast. You have to. The way you upgrade this deck, you have to remove these cards. But my question to everybody is: there like, oh, so maybe Seasoned Pyromancer is a very good card because it's actually a way of drawing more cards and is a decent looting effect. So that was part of my conversation. I was trying to make a Rug Hollow One list with someone else. So I think I actually think that Seasoned Pyromancer is a very good contender in this conversation. So hold on. Yeah, this is the site. A little bit on the slower side, of course, but still will help discard the cards necessary and also draw cards and also get value. And it's like a lot of the old Hollow One decks were like Mardu because they played with Lingering Souls, and this is like a Lingering Souls in the deck, you know? When there's the battlefield, discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discard this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. And of course, you're going to want to discard your Bloodghast, your Flamewake Phoenixes. You want to dump those cards. You actually get to choose what you dump too. So I mean, it's literally Faithless Looting, just not as explosive. It comes out at 3 mana. What's Merchant of the Veil? Oh, it's that 3 mana card. Yeah, Merchant is very underwhelming. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. I mean, I might as well play the what's it called? The 1-mana one. What's the 1-mana card? Used to be part of Dredge all the time, till they actually moved to Merchant of the Veil. There's like 1 red, sack it, discard a card, draw a card, or some crap like that. Hey, G-Force, how's it going? But Seasoned Pyromancer is like premium. It's a premium card. I would definitely add this to the deck. So for Seasoned Pyromancer, take out 4 Lightning Skelemental, and then we gotta like remove the Unearth. Rotting Register. I guess it's okay. I mean, 7/6 creature for 3 mana, not bad. Really not bad. Does have synergy with the rest of the deck because it will help enable your hollow ones. Can maybe discard your Flamewake Phoenix. This is just a giant card to enable Flamewake Phoenix. By the way, I think you should just have more Flamewake Phoenixes. So maybe okay. How about this? You add the 4 Seasoned Pyromancer. You get rid of the 3 Unearth, add 1 Flamewake Phoenix, add 2 Rotting Regisaur. I could get behind that deck. I could get behind that. I have nothing against Rotting Regisaur. Imagine your opponent's empty-handed, and then you go, boom, 7/6 creature. Is there even any disadvantage to your upkeep if you like discard? And like there are plenty of cards you want to discard. This thing's disgusting. We want a review of M. Hayashi's Yorion Merfolk. Well, you can go check out M. Hayashi's YouTube videos. I mean, overall, it's a Merfolk deck with Yorion and what's it called? Well, he has to submit it for Decklist review. But if you want to make it a topic for tomorrow, yeah, we can talk about the Yorion Merfolk deck. Serum Powder, yeah. Serum Powder, a card I actually think is trash, but I think probably is worth it if you're running a companion, because I found Serum Powder was a massive card disadvantage. It was terrible. But if you have a companion in your sideboard, then it makes up for it in any situations where you have Serum Powder. And of course, Serum Powder can also help as a mana source to actually cast your Yorion. I think Yorion is totally fine in a Merfolk deck. Of course, if you build it with all the ETB effects, then it does work itself out. Yeah, so Yorion will end up being just better in the matchups that go long. Good blocker, though. So anyway, that's my suggestion. You cannot... These don't go together. This actually has no business in the deck at all, anyway. Sideboard, Grim Lavamancer, Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality, Feed the Swarm. Yeah, I can get behind all these cards. These are all good. These are all good. All right. Thanks for submitting the list. Moving on with deck list review. Oh, Neil says, I know we just looked at it already, but Metallic Mimic could be good in the Merfolk card and scales list. Maybe, yeah. It's very similar to Deep Root Elite, except Metallic Mimic starts off as a 2/1 creature. The issue I have with Yorion in general is the dilution. Well, that's what the Serum Powder's for. To give the, if you're digging for any particular cards, you're going to have them. I don't think it dilutes the deck too much. I think the reward of having an extra card makes up for the dilution by a very large margin. Okay. Let's do another one here. Blada. I can only foresee that this is going to be wild. Okay, what's up, Balada? This is trying to use the Reanimator strategy in 2 main ways. Using Goryo spells to get a quick reanimate. The second line is to use Vesper Lark to reanimate Body Double to copy a creature in the grave. There's some streamer has some sort of deck like this, doesn't he? Ashen Rider, Body Double. I don't know if he used Body Double. I can't remember. Copy of any creature card in the graveyard. Elishnorn, Emrakul, Grizzlebrand, Jin, Gitaxia, Stitcher Supplier, Ulamog, Vesper Lark. There's I can't remember. There's a streamer playing like this deck. Or something similar. So is it playable? Absolutely. So I'm not actually going to look at the main deck too much. So hold on, I can't remember. How does this deck work though? Goro spells to get a quick reanimate. The second line is to use Vesper Lark to reanimate Body Double to copy a creature. And oh yes, that's right. So use Vesper Lark. Then you get your it says when it leaves the battlefield, return target creature card with power 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you get Body Double in your graveyard. It's a 0/0 creature, but you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature card in your graveyard. So if you have an Elish Nor in your graveyard, you get to copy it. If you have an Emrakul the Promised End, you get to copy it. If you have a Jin-Gitaxias, you get to copy it. So, and of course, use Citrus Supplier as like an Ancestral Recall, as just dumping cards into your graveyard. So here's the deal. I think everything depends on your sideboard, because this deck just gets crushed by Graveyard Hate. Ashiok, I guess, is okay. Disenchant, yes. Dismember, sure. Feed the Swarm, yes, to beat those, what's it called? Rest in Pieces? Yeah, I guess Iona is fine against some very specific, like, red or black decks. Linvala. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than you gain 5 life. ETB, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, put a 3/3 white angel creature token onto the battlefield with flying. This card looks like a bad, what's it called? Timely reinforcements. I don't know, maybe it's fine, but looks very clunky. Nature's Claim, good. Because a lot is going to depend on the like, I'm sure a deck like this can go off, but like it all just depends on your opponent's graveyard hate. But I actually don't hate the deck at all. What is this? Vorin collects Voice of Hunger. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any to your mana pool for any type that land produced. Whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, if that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. What's her mana like? Gemstone Caverns, I like that. On the draw, get ahead. Overgrown Tomb, Pluto Delta. Yeah, this is I can't hate it. I can't hate it. Iona versus Prow sounds tasty. Yeah, it basically ends the game right there. You get only so many more attacks with those little dinky Prowess creatures, and then it's over. All right. Well, with that, that's going to be end of Decklist review. So, just let everyone know, Magic Online is going offline in 2 hours, so I'm not going to stream gameplay right now. I will stream. I'm going to stream gameplay today for everyone watching the stream, but I'm going to do it much later. So I don't know, maybe 5-6 hours from now, I will do my regular stream, but it's just not going to be it's just not going to be right now, because Magic Online is about to go offline for scheduled maintenance. But when it's back online, I will spontaneously start my stream for the day. But so anyway, I did the Coffee and MTG, so you're gonna have to hang tight for, I don't know, 5 to 6 hours. I don't know how long it takes for their schedule. It's gonna scheduled maintenance starts in about 2 hours. Scheduled maintenance starts in 2 hours. I don't know how long it's gonna take. Just gonna have to wait and see. Just letting everyone know, I am gonna have a gameplay stream today, but it's just not gonna be right now because we're gonna get kicked out. They're gonna say that's the end. That's the end. We're closing. Everyone get out of the store. You ever been in a local game store and they're like, okay, that's it. Time's up. Gotta go. Gotta close the doors. All right, I've emptied the cash register. Let's go. Everyone's got to go home. That's what it's going to be like on MTG Magic the Gathering Online. I would hate for our gameplay to be interrupted. So I will. The moment someone tells me Magic the Gathering Online is back up and in operation, if I can see it on Twitter, I will be there, and I'll hope to see you later. But for Coffee and MTG, that is going to be it for today. Screw you guys. I'm going home. Eric Cartman. So, but for Coffee and MTG, that is going to be it for today, and then you'll just have to wait for the gameplay stream later on in the day. So until then, I can raid someone. Who are we going to raid? Let's raid someone. Give me someone to raid, and I'll raid them. First name that comes up that is an MTG streamer. Probably there's a lot of arena content that's going to be up. Spike. All right, Spike it is. And he's playing arena right now. Excellent. You're too slow. I could have been the Duke. Probably I should spread the love every so often. I read Spike a lot. But anyway, okay, thanks for everyone for showing up. I hope to see you later. And until then, keep brewing the coffee and we keep brewing the magic conversation. See you next time.